It was a sunny morning when I walked into the finance classroom at college. The smell of fresh coffee mixed with the faint aroma of new books brought me a sense of excitement. The atmosphere was buzzing with students animatedly discussing projects and dreams. I had always known that business school would be an opportunity not only to learn but also to make important connections. Little did I know that on that day I was about to meet someone who would change my life forever. I settled into a corner of the room, trying to absorb what the professor was explaining about investments. However, my attention was soon diverted by a presence beside me. When I glanced over, I found a young woman with shiny black hair, focused on her notes. It was Samantha Lee. She had an engaging way of moving, as if every gesture of hers was deliberate and meaningful. The moment our eyes met, an instant spark lit up the air between us. "Hey, are you finding this subject a bit confusing too?" I asked, trying to break the ice. She smiled, and I realized her smile was contagious. "A little, but I like the challenge. How about you?" "Oh, I've always enjoyed challenges. It's like a strategy game, right?" I felt more at ease as we chatted. "What's your area of interest?" "I'm thinking about marketing and finance. I want to understand how the two can come together to create something innovative." "What about you?" She seemed genuinely interested. "I want to specialize in investments. I've always dreamed of building a financial empire." My heart raced as I talked about this. It wasn't just ambition, it was a passion. I think together we could create something great. The professor called our attention again, and the class continued. But as the hours passed, my mind drifted far from the academic content. I could hardly wait to talk to Samantha again. The chemistry between us was undeniable, and I knew I had to get to know her better. After a few weeks of casual conversations in class, I decided it was time to take a step forward. I gathered my courage and sent her a message. "Hey, Samantha, how about we grab a coffee after class? It would be great to chat a bit more." Minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Hey, Ryan, I would love to. How about tomorrow at 5 p.m.? The anticipation made me anxious. The next day felt like an eternity, but it finally arrived. I went to the cafe, a cozy place adorned with green plants and soft lighting. As soon as I saw Samantha walk in, my heart leaped. She was wearing a blue blouse that highlighted her light eyes, and a wave of happiness washed over me. "Hey, Ryan." She waved, and I stood up to greet her. "Hey, Samantha. You look beautiful." The compliment came out spontaneously, and I immediately wondered if I had been too bold. "Thank you. You look good too." She smiled shyly, which excited me even more. We sat at a table by the window as the sun began to set. The conversation flowed naturally, as if we had known each other for years. We talked about our families, our dreams, and ambitions. Every word exchanged seemed to weave an invisible bond between us. "I've always wanted to have my own business," Samantha said, looking at her coffee cup. "I want to do something that positively impacts people." "That's amazing. I also want to make a difference, but I'm still not exactly sure how." I looked into her eyes, feeling a deep connection. "I think the business world can be a place to turn ideas into reality." "Absolutely. Imagine creating something that not only brings profit but also helps people." She seemed so enthusiastic that it was contagious. As the night wore on, I noticed the atmosphere becoming more intimate. The cafe's lights dimmed, and the gentle sound of music in the background complemented our moment. I was completely absorbed in her ideas, and in the way she spoke with passion. "Do you believe that love and ambition can coexist?" I asked, curious about her opinion. "I think they can, but it's a fine line. Ambition can end up consuming a person if it isn't balanced with love and healthy relationships. It's easy to get lost in the midst of success." Her words resonated with me, and I wondered if we were indeed starting something meaningful. Decidedly, I leaned a little closer and, in a moment of courage, asked, "Can I kiss you?" She looked into my eyes, and for a brief moment, the world around us disappeared. "Yes," she whispered, and I leaned in, our lips meeting in a soft touch filled with promises. The kiss was sweet and full of meaning, as if we were sealing a silent pact that we were ready to face whatever came next together. When we pulled away, we both wore goofy smiles on our faces. "Wow," I murmured, trying to capture the intensity of the moment. "Wow indeed," she laughed, a sound that echoed with joy. "I didn't expect that." "Me neither, but it was perfect." The feeling of being by her side made everything around us shine a little brighter. "So, what do you think about starting a project together? Something that combines your marketing skills with my finance knowledge?" Samantha hesitated for a moment, but soon her eyes sparkled. "That would be amazing. We could create something that really makes a difference." And so, amidst the cafe and the soft light of dusk, we decided to start a small business during college. The idea of combining our strengths excited me, and at the same time made me a bit nervous. But looking at her, I realized that together we were invincible. In that moment, we were not just Ryan and Samantha, two students pursuing their dreams. We were partners, ready to take on the business world and, who knows, even life together. The ambition burned in our hearts, and the love that was beginning to blossom between us felt like the driving force we needed to move forward. The future was wide open, and I could hardly wait to discover what lay ahead. The sunlight filtered through the windows of our new office, reflecting on our faces as I watched Ryan, who was immersed in graphs and financial projections. It was a moment I had long dreamed of and worked so hard to achieve. Success was finally within our reach, but for some reason, the joy that should have been pulsating in my heart felt distant. "Did you see this, Samantha? If we increase our profit margin by 2%, we can expand into the European market in less than a year," Ryan exclaimed, his eyes shining with an ambition I knew well. The way he spoke with such passion always inspired me. But at the same time, there was something in his intensity that kept me on alert, as if he were losing himself in something he couldn't control. "Ryan, this is incredible, but have you thought about how this will affect our team? We need to ensure everyone is on board before we make such significant decisions," I replied, trying to bring a bit of balance to his excitement. He turned to me, frustration beginning to etch itself on his face. "Samantha, you don't understand. This is the moment we've been waiting for our whole lives. We can't let fear hold us back. We need to seize this opportunity now." I could see that our visions were starting to diverge. The passion we had shared in college, the bond that united us around a common dream, was being replaced by an insatiable desire for power. What once was a formidable team now felt like a battleground. "I understand, Ryan, but we need to be cautious. Success shouldn't come at the expense of the people who helped us build this," I said, trying to soften the tone of the conversation. He sighed, his expression softening a bit. "You're right, but we can't afford to hesitate. The business world is ruthless, and if we don't move quickly, someone else will take our place," he replied, but I could hear the determination in his voice. What should have been a healthy discussion about our future was turning into a power struggle. In the days that followed, the pressure to maintain growth began to intensify. The nights grew long and exhausting, and the chemistry we shared began to dissipate. Ryan became increasingly obsessed with numbers and projections, while I worried about what we were sacrificing. One night, as we reviewed financial reports, I turned to him. "Ryan, we need to talk. I feel like you're distancing yourself from me. What's going on?" I asked, concern spilling over in my voice. He paused, his gaze fixed on the graph in front of him. "Samantha, you know I'm focused. We're building something big here. I just need a little more time to get everything on track." "But at what cost? I feel like you're no longer present. You're so absorbed in work that it seems like you're forgetting about us," I said, feeling the knot in my stomach tighten. Ryan looked at me, his eyes finally meeting mine. "I don't want to lose what we have, but I also can't fail. I can't let ambition consume me, but I need to succeed. For us." It was a vicious cycle, and with each passing day, I wondered if what we were building was worth it. That night I decided I needed some time for myself. The upcoming gala could be a good opportunity to breathe a little and reassess our priorities. When the big day arrived, I was nervous yet excited. The venue was stunning, with twinkling lights and a celebratory atmosphere in the air. I felt a little out of place, surrounded by people who seemed so thrilled with life and success. Ryan was busy with investors, and I found myself lost in the crowd. That's when I unexpectedly ran into David, an old college friend. "Samantha, great to see you here," he exclaimed, a smile lighting up his face. "You and Ryan are an inspiration. I've been following your company's growth." "Impressive. Thank you, David. It's been quite a journey," I replied, trying to keep the conversation light. But there was something about his presence that brought me a comforting warmth. As we chatted, I noticed he was genuinely interested in me, not just the business. "Are you okay? You seem a bit distant," he asked, his expression growing more serious. "It's just the pressure of work. Ryan is so focused that sometimes I feel alone in this," I confessed. The words came out before I could think them through. David paused, his gaze softening. "You deserve to be heard. It's tough when ambition consumes everyone around you. You've always been so passionate about what you do. Don't let that fade." My defenses began to crumble. Talking to David felt like breathing fresh air in a suffocating environment. He made me feel valued in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. The tension I felt towards Ryan began to morph into confusion. As we conversed, Ryan appeared, a worried look crossing his face upon seeing me with David. "Samantha, are you okay? What's going on here?" His voice was firm, but there was a possessive tone that unsettled me. "We're just chatting, Ryan. David was telling me about some projects he's been working on," I replied, trying to keep calm. "Oh, of course. Projects," Ryan muttered, his expression hardening. "We need to go. There are investors who need our attention." I looked at David, who simply nodded, understanding the situation. The tension between Ryan and me was becoming palpable. As we left the party, I wondered if David's words would echo in my mind. What did I really want? What were we losing in our relentless pursuit of success? Questions swirled in my head, and what should have been a celebration of our success felt more like a reminder that perhaps we were drifting apart. The love that once united us now seemed like just a shadow, overshadowed by ambition and the tough choices we needed to face. The day was bright, but I couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was approaching. As I prepared for the big negotiation that could catapult our financial empire, Samantha occupied every free space in my thoughts. She had been distant lately, but I was so immersed in my ambition that I failed to see the signs. With my tie adjusted and my jacket neatly aligned, I left home determined to conquer what I had dreamed of for so long. Arriving at the office, the atmosphere was electric. The team was gathered, eager to hear the updates from the meeting with the investors. As soon as I entered the room, everyone turned to me, and the spark in their eyes breathed new life into me. "Let's make this happen," I declared, and applause erupted. But deep down, an echo of insecurity settled in. Samantha wasn't there to share that moment. During the meeting, the numbers danced in my mind, and the certainty that everything would work out enveloped me like a cloak. The main investor, a respected businessman known for his cold demeanor, looked at me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Ryan, are you sure your vision aligns with ours?" he asked, his deep voice resonating in the room. I needed to impress him. I needed him to see the greatness of what we were building. "Of course, sir. We're not just seeking profit, we're building a legacy," I replied, feeling a bit more confident. However, even as I spoke, a part of me wondered if I was truly building something worthwhile without Samantha by my side. What did I really want? Power, success, or the woman who had always been there with me, sharing dreams and plans? The thought of losing what we had built together left me restless. When the meeting ended, adrenaline was still coursing through my veins. I should have called Samantha, but the urge to celebrate the victory with the team was stronger. We headed to a nearby bar, and excitement took over. Laughter, toasts, and promises of a bright future filled the air. As the night wore on, I realized my phone was eerily silent. Samantha's absence became a heavy weight in my heart. The next morning I woke up early and decided it was time to confront the situation. I went to her apartment, determined to understand why she had been so distant. As I rang the doorbell, my heart raced. The door opened slowly, revealing Samantha with deep circles under her eyes and a tired expression. "Hi, Ryan," she said, attempting to smile, but there was something in her gaze that troubled me. "Hi, Sam. Can we talk?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but my voice betrayed my nerves. "Sure," she replied, stepping aside for me to enter. The apartment was quiet, and the atmosphere felt heavy. I sat on the couch while she settled into the armchair across from me. "How are you?" I asked, but the answer didn't come. Silence stretched between us, and I knew I needed to be direct. "Samantha, you've been distant. What's going on?" She took a deep breath before responding. "Ryan, I don't know if I can keep doing this." Those words cut like a knife. "What do you mean by that?" I asked, concern flooding over me. "It's just that you've lost your way a bit. Your focus is solely on work, and I feel like I'm losing you," she said, vulnerability in her voice hitting me hard. I wanted to argue, to explain that everything I was doing was for us, but the words got stuck in my throat. "I'm just trying to build something big for us. You're part of this, Sam. We're a team." I tried to defend myself, but her expression remained unchanged. There was a lingering sadness that I couldn't dispel. "What if I don't just want to be part of a team? I want you, Ryan. I want our connection back." Those words echoed in my mind, and for the first time, I realized that blind ambition could cost me everything that truly mattered. I'll try, I promise," I said, even though I knew promises were easy to make. What really mattered was action. Samantha looked at me, and for a brief moment, I saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Ryan, I just need some time to think about all of this," she said, and my heart sank. What did that mean? I was about to lose the person I loved the most. "Do you want time away from me?" I asked, my voice trembling. She nodded, and the pain of separation began to form a knot in my stomach. "I don't know if I can handle that, Sam," I confessed, feeling tears threaten to spill. "I know. But sometimes we need to lose ourselves to find ourselves again," she replied, and I couldn't help but let sadness wash over me. I wanted to hold her, but I knew I had to respect her decision. In the following days, Samantha's absence was palpable. Work became both a refuge and a prison. I dove into reports, meetings, and negotiations, trying to escape the pain. But with each success I achieved, the emptiness beside me grew. Nights were lonely, and the bed felt cold without her. It was one of those nights that I decided I needed to know how she was doing. I picked up my phone and hesitated. What would I say? How could I express my feelings without seeming desperate? After a few minutes, I started typing a message, but insecurity held me back from sending it. The fear that she was drifting away paralyzed me. Finally, I decided I needed to see Samantha again. I couldn't let her slip away without a fight. A spark of hope led me to a small cafe where we used to go. When I found her there, alone, sipping coffee, my heart raced. She looked so beautiful yet so distant. "Hi, Ryan," she said softly, and the way she said my name made my heart ache. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk to you about us," I replied, trying to keep calm. Her gaze softened, but there was a hesitation I couldn't ignore. I don't know if it's a good idea, Ryan," she said, and my world seemed to crumble again. "Why can't we just take some time apart?" "Because I don't want to lose you, Sam. You're the reason I do all of this. I can't imagine my future without you," I pleaded, trying to find that look in her eyes that once brimmed with love and admiration. She hesitated, and the silence between us stretched. "I just need to know if what we have is real, or if it's just a byproduct of your ambition," she finally said, and I realized her words were more than fair. It was a question I wasn't sure how to answer. "I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. Together," I said, the sincerity in my voice surprising me. "If you give me a chance, I promise I will fight for us." Samantha's expression softened, and for a moment, something in her heart seemed to open. "I just want you to know that I love you too, Ryan. But we need to be honest with each other. That was a start. A small step, but still enough to ignite a hope I thought was lost. The road ahead would be tough, but I was determined not to let ambition tear us apart again. The silence in the conference room felt deafening. I was sitting at the table, surrounded by charts and spreadsheets, but my mind was elsewhere. The colors of the data on the screen blurred together, and all I could think about was Samantha. The echo of our fight still lingered in my memory, like a wound that wouldn't heal. What had once been a safe haven was now a battleground. The pain of betrayal followed me like a shadow at every turn. "Ryan, are you listening?" Mark's voice, my business partner, interrupted my reverie. He looked at me with a worried expression, and I realized he had been speaking for a while without me paying attention. "Sorry, Mark. What did you say?" I tried to force a smile, but it was difficult. The numbers on the screen seemed to dance, and I couldn't concentrate. Samantha's image, with her sad gaze and choked voice, haunted me. "We need to make a decision about the new expansion. You seem so distant. What's going on?" He stared at me intently, and I knew I couldn't hide my pain for much longer. I'm dealing with some personal things," I replied, trying to look away. The truth was that the pain was consuming me, and instead of motivating me to work harder, it was leading me to risky decisions. My focus was on building something bigger, a way to fill the void I felt, but with every choice, I felt I was drifting further away from who I truly was. "Ryan, you need to pick yourself up. Success won't come if you keep wallowing in self-pity." Mark's voice was firm, but there was genuine concern behind it. He had always been a loyal friend, but I didn't want to be a burden. "I know, but it's hard. What I had with Samantha. It all feels so distant now." I couldn't contain my honesty. It was an internal battle I couldn't seem to win. "Face it. What you need is clarity. The business can wait, but you need to resolve this with her," Mark suggested, and I knew he was right. But how could I do that? The words exchanged on the night of the fight still echoed in my mind, and I wasn't sure if we could go back. After a long, exhausting day, I returned home. The soft light of the apartment wasn't enough to dispel the darkness surrounding my heart. I looked around and saw the memories of happy moments with Samantha. Framed photos, little notes she left around the house. Every detail seemed a reminder of the connection we were losing. I felt a tightness in my chest and wondered if there was still a way out for us. The next day, Samantha decided to seek me out. I saw her enter the office, and my heart raced. She looked more beautiful than ever, but the expression on her face showed that the situation wasn't easy. People around us seemed to notice the tension, but I could only focus on her. "Ryan, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The way she said my name made me feel a mix of pain and hope. "Yes, we do," I replied, trying to stay calm, but anxiety consumed me. All I wanted was to hug her and say everything would be okay, but there was an abyss between us that seemed impossible to cross. She leaned forward, her eyes shining with emotion. "I'm so sorry for what happened. I didn't want things to get to this point. The truth is, I feel guilty. For everything. You don't need to feel that way, Samantha. I made mistakes too." The honesty between us was like a sharp blade, cutting through the heavy air surrounding us. I let ambition consume me and didn't realize what was happening. I should have talked to you before getting involved with him. What started as a friendship became confusing, and I let myself get carried away. She lowered her head, and I saw the pain reflected on her face. "But I want to fix this. I want to fight for us. And I want that too, but it's complicated," I confessed. "The truth is, I'm afraid that if we keep going like this, we'll end up destroying each other." "No. But we need to be honest with each other. I don't want to lose you, Ryan. Not after everything we've built together." The vulnerability in her voice was palpable, and I couldn't help but feel a wave of love for her, even amidst all the pain. "I don't want to lose you either." The response came out more easily than I expected. "But I need to know that you're truly committed, that we can overcome this together. I'm willing to fight for us, and I'm not just talking about words, I want actions. If we need time, I'm willing to give it, but I want you to know I'm here." Her sincerity made me feel a small hope begin to blossom inside me. "Then let's take that time. How about we start working on a project together? Something smaller that can remind us of what really matters," I suggested, feeling that this could be a way to rebuild trust between us. "I would love that. We need to reconnect with what brought us together in the first place." Her smile lit up the room, if only for a brief moment. The idea of working together again brought a sense of normalcy, something I craved. We could start with a philanthropic project, something that helps others and reminds us of what really matters. "What do you think?" I asked, feeling that this could be the key to our reconnection. "That's perfect. We can use our skills to help others and, at the same time, find a new purpose for ourselves." She was excited, and I saw a spark of hope shine in her eyes. "Then let's do it. Let's reconnect and rediscover what united us." I looked at her, feeling that maybe there was a chance for us. As the days went by, we started working together again. The energy between us began to shift, and the philanthropic project gave us a new perspective. We spent hours discussing ideas, laughing, and reminiscing about the moments that brought us here. But as the connection seemed to strengthen, a shadow loomed over us. One night, while reviewing some proposals at my apartment, Samantha's phone vibrated on the table. I saw her hesitate to look at the screen, and for a moment, anguish washed over me. The name shining on the screen was that of a college acquaintance, and a wave of jealousy surged within me. "Are you going to answer?" I asked, trying to keep calm, but my voice betrayed my nervousness. I don't know." She looked at me, indecision evident in her eyes. "He's been trying to reach out to discuss a business partnership." "A partnership." The word came out with a weight I couldn't hide. "And you're considering it?" "No, it's not like that. I don't want to be dishonest with you." She smiled nervously, but the discomfort was palpable. "I understand, but this bothers me. I don't want you to get involved with him again." My voice rose, but I quickly regained my composure. "I'm sorry, I don't mean to be possessive, but this hurts. Ryan, I promise I don't want anything from him. I only want you." She moved closer, taking my hand, but the uncertainty still lingered. "Then you need to tell me if this is something that could become a problem. Because I can't handle this again." The tension in the air was thick, and I knew the truth needed to be spoken. "I'll talk to him. I promise I'll make it clear that I'm not interested." She took a deep breath, and I saw the determination in her eyes. "Thank you. That means a lot to me." The sensation of relief flooded over me, but part of me couldn't ignore the fact that the shadow of betrayal still loomed over us. That night, as the city lit up outside, I realized that the fight for our relationship was just beginning. The path ahead was uncertain, but I was determined to fight for Samantha and what we had built together, even though ambition and the pain of the past still haunted us. The hope that love could prevail still burned within me, and I was ready to face whatever came my way. The soft morning light filtered through the curtains of my office, but despite that, I felt dull, as if a shadow had taken over me. The weight of ambition that once propelled me now felt like an unbearable burden. I looked out the window, watching the hustle and bustle of the city below, and realized that in my relentless pursuit of success, I had neglected everything that truly mattered. My thoughts turned to Samantha. What had I done? How had I reached this point of loneliness? I walked over to the conference room where I had so often strategized and negotiated, and where now every document felt like a reminder of what I had lost. The image of Samantha haunted me, her smile, her laughter, the way she lit up my days with her presence. I needed to do something, and fast. I couldn't let pride and ambition destroy what mattered most to me: our love. I decided it was time to change my approach. That day, I wasn't just going to work. I was going to fight. I grabbed my phone and typed a message to her. "Samantha, we need to talk. I know I messed up, but I want to hear you. Please give me a chance." The response didn't come immediately, but I had to hold on to hope. That night, as the sky darkened, my phone finally buzzed. It was Samantha. "Okay, Ryan. We can meet tomorrow afternoon." The relief was instant, but anxiety soon took its place. What if she didn't want to hear me anymore? What if I had lost Samantha forever? The next day, the atmosphere was tense. I chose a cafe we used to frequent, a place that held so many happy memories. As I walked in, I saw Samantha sitting at a table in the corner, her gaze fixed on her coffee. She looked beautiful, but there was a sadness in her eyes that broke my heart. I approached slowly, trying not to disturb the delicate atmosphere surrounding us. "Hi," I said, my voice trembling. "Thank you for coming." "Hi, Ryan," she replied, not looking at me. The silence was heavy, as if we were trapped in a maze of unspoken emotions. "Samantha, I don't know where to start. I let ambition blind me. What more could I want than you?" The words spilled out like a confession, and I could feel the sincerity in them. She finally raised her gaze, and I saw a mix of pain and hope in her eyes. "Ryan, it's not just about you. I also lost myself in this game. I allowed myself to believe I could find something outside our relationship, something that would make me feel valued. I never wanted you to feel that way. I was so focused on growing, on being the best, that I didn't realize how much I was pushing you away. I'm so sorry from the bottom of my heart." My words were laden with regret. I needed her to know I was willing to change. "I'm sorry too. I should have talked to you before, instead of pulling away and seeking comfort elsewhere." Her voice trembled, and I could see the internal struggle she was facing. "But Ryan, the doubt is still here. How can we trust each other again?" I sighed, knowing that trust was fragile ground. "I want to work on this. I want us to be transparent with each other. I promise I'll strive not to let ambition dominate me again." Samantha looked into my eyes, and there was something there, a glimmer of hope mixed with uncertainty. "I want that too, but please know it won't be easy. We need to face our demons." "I'm ready for that," I said with renewed determination. "Let's do this together." The conversation flowed, and as we talked, the barriers between us began to dissolve. We discussed our failures, our fears, and the dreams we could still build together. As we spoke, I realized that true ambition wasn't just about financial achievements, but about what we could accomplish as a couple. However, while we tried to reconnect, the shadow of my past still loomed over us. I knew that Samantha's colleague, the one who had intruded into our relationship, was still around, and the thought that he might be scheming against us was unsettling. I needed to find out what was happening. That same night, I decided it was time to act. I went to the office, determined to uncover more about my rival. After several hours of research, I found information that left me uneasy. He was trying to reach out to investors who had collaborated with us, promising he could offer better terms. The betrayal was clear, and I knew I needed to protect our business and our relationship. The next day I called Samantha. "We need to talk again. I discovered something about your colleague that could be serious." "What is it?" The concern in her voice was palpable. "He's trying to sabotage us. I heard he's promising better conditions to our investors. We need to act before it's too late." "Ryan, this is serious. What do you suggest we do?" The determination in her voice made my heart race. It was a sign that we were in this together, ready to face a new battle. "We need to unite and prepare. Let's gather the evidence we have and confront this head-on. We can't let him destroy what we've built." "I agree. Let's meet with our team and prepare a strategy. I won't let him take everything we've created together." The strength in her voice filled me with hope. Finally, we were together again, ready to fight. From that moment on, the focus shifted. We were not just fighting for our business but for our relationship as well. The ambition that had once separated us was now transforming into a unifying force. Together, we were stronger and more determined than ever. The love we shared became the foundation to face any challenge that came our way. Tension filled the air in the conference room, and I could feel my heart racing as the investors arrived. Ryan stood beside me, his presence a mix of confidence and vulnerability. He shot me an encouraging glance before we positioned ourselves in front of everyone. The table was covered with documents that we had meticulously prepared, each one a testament to what our former colleague, Daniel, had attempted to do. He had infiltrated our business, manipulating information and creating a web of lies that nearly destroyed everything we had built. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "We are here today to clarify the situation that has recently arisen in our business. We appreciate everyone's presence and the trust you've placed in us thus far." I looked at Ryan, who nodded, and I continued. "As many of you know, there was a partnership proposal made by Daniel, which turned out to be an attempt at sabotage. We are here to expose the truth." The expressions of the investors ranged from surprise to skepticism, but I knew we had the truth on our side. Ryan began presenting the evidence, his eyes shining with determination. Daniel used insider information in an attempt to undermine our company. He tried to manipulate the market and create a negative image of us. Here are the emails we exchanged, the records of his conversations with competitors, and even testimonies from employees who witnessed his misconduct. As Ryan spoke, I felt the adrenaline surge. It was almost as if we were putting everything on the line, but what we had were solid proofs, and that gave us an advantage. The room fell silent, and the gazes were fixed on us, absorbing every word. The air of distrust towards Daniel grew, and I could see that, little by little, we were regaining the investors' confidence. When the meeting came to an end, a wave of relief washed over me. Daniel had been unmasked, and the feeling of victory was almost tangible. The investors began to rise and applaud, and I let myself be swept away by the emotion of the moment. Ryan and I exchanged a knowing glance. It was as if we were finally on the same page again. "You were incredible in there," he said, a broad smile on his face as we stepped away from the table. "I knew we were stronger together." "Thank you, Ryan. I couldn't have done it without you," I replied, feeling a wave of gratitude. "I feel like we're starting to be the team we were before." He took my hand, and that simple connection brought forth a feeling I thought I had lost. The trust and love we shared were resurfacing, stronger than before. However, we knew there was still a long road ahead. In the days that followed, news of Daniel's downfall spread quickly. He was expelled from the market and lost everything. It was almost ironic how his unchecked ambition led to his ruin. Ryan and I became heroes in our business community. People started to see us not just as entrepreneurs, but as a couple who overcame adversity together. The trust between us was reborn, and it felt like we were rediscovering each other. One afternoon, after a long day at work, Ryan invited me out. "Let's celebrate," he suggested. "We need some time just for the two of us. How about dinner at our favorite restaurant?" I smiled, feeling a wave of happiness. "I'd love that. It's been so long since we've had a moment like this." That night, as we dined, I couldn't help but notice how everything felt lighter. The atmosphere was illuminated by candlelight, and soft music in the background created the perfect setting. "Samantha," Ryan began, his expression serious, "I want you to know that I've learned a lot from all this. Ambition is important, but what truly matters is what we have with each other." "I've learned that too, Ryan," I replied, feeling my heart warm. "Success means nothing if we don't have someone to share it with. I don't want ambition to drive us apart again." He reached out and held my hand. "Let's find a balance. We can be successful while still prioritizing our relationship. I want us to fight for our dreams together, but never at the cost of what we have with each other." Those words touched me deeply. I knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but I was willing to do whatever it took to ensure our relationship remained a priority. "Let's dedicate part of our success to helping other couples overcome challenges," I suggested. "We could create a program or a foundation to assist people going through difficulties similar to what we faced." Ryan smiled, his eyes lighting up at the idea. "That would be amazing. We can share our story and help others find the balance between love and ambition." That night, as we walked home, I felt like we were at the start of a new chapter. The love we had, strengthened by adversity, was more precious than any wealth we could accumulate. What truly mattered was that we were together, ready to face the future side by side. We decided that, regardless of the challenges that might still arise, we would face everything together. True wealth wasn't just in financial terms, but in the strength of our bond, in the trust we had rebuilt, and in our ability to love each other unconditionally. It was a new chapter in our lives, and I was excited to write it alongside Ryan. Together we were unstoppable, not just as business partners but as a couple who had learned to navigate the complexities of love and ambition. And so, with each step we took, I knew we were building a stronger and more meaningful future.